What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Chromecast. My name's Joe, joined here today by not Robbie. I mean, Robbie is here.
Wow.
He's
virtually here.
Joined here today in this.
He's not even here, and he still gets top billing. What the heck?
So we got Gabriel and Andy Cam here. We have Robbie virtual.
Whatever.
What's up, guys?
Robbie's tuned in from his house because he has COVID.
Yeah, it's almost like a badge of shame. I get you.
I
really
know.
Shouldn't be, but I'm just like, I can't believe I got it. But like this new,
you're in good company.
The new Omicron
Joe's
variant.
President Joe.
Not
Joe.
Like, I don't have
not
it.
Joe Humphrey. President Joe Biden currently is positive for.
Yeah.
So,
but seems
half of our
seems
house
like
got
it's
it.
been fairly mild for you.
It has. It's been like yesterday felt like a bad cold. Like the day before, I was like, if this is COVID, this isn't that bad. And yesterday, it leaned into me a little bit, but I'm already feeling a lot better today. Apologize for the constant throat clears and snorts. Just part of it.
Well,
I'm medicated.
We were talking.
I'm trying.
We were talking. Yeah, we were talking before we got rolling here about the 6A video. So we had the 6A in the office. You had your sim in it, and we're testing. So we were kind of waiting to do the A roll. So we ended up doing the A roll. Kind of the day you kind of first started having symptoms, or I guess kind of second day, but you thought it was just some cold or allergies or whatever. And if you go and watch that video, Robbie's voice, I mean, everyone always says that Gabriel and Robbie sound like retired country singers. If you go and listen to Robbie's voice in this video, it's a little lower than normal. It's not even that it's lower. It's just like it's got this like extra raspiness to it that is not normal.
It's still there a little bit today. It's not as bad.
Yeah. I think you're sounding better already, so that's good. Couple quick housekeeping things before we hop into some news of the week, which is largely going to be the Google announcements, hardware stuff, which is always fun. But before we get into that, we put out our last interview with our 3-part series with Logitech. Our last interview episode with Amy Mayer, and it was an awesome chat. She was super fun. She owns a company called Fried Technology, and they do professional development and training and stuff like that for educators. And so she really knows her stuff, and she's a great communicator. She was great as a guest, and she taught me some stuff, which is always fun. When we have these education EDU focused episodes, I'm learning kind of right along with you all, so I'm just asking the questions that I don't know and just going with the flow, and it's fun. And she was great. And so we now have 3 interview episodes out. We'll make sure to link to those down in the show notes. And the giveaway is still running. So the 30 Chrome packs that we're going to give away to one educator or school faculty is going all the way through the month of July. So that'll end at the end of the month. And you need to go get entered to win if you're an educator.
Absolutely.
30 Chrome packs packed full of goodies.
Yeah, that's a big addition to any classroom, lab, school, whatever. I mean, that would be a big deal.
And it's all the things you need. You've got wireless keyboard, mouse. Help me out here, Andy Cam. Wireless keyboard, mouse, webcam, headset, blue USB microphone.
Nice.
And then
Kid approved
the Logi Pen if your classroom has USI Chromebooks, and then the backpack, which the backpack's pretty dope.
It is.
I'm not gonna lie.
It is.
It's
yeah,
like
my kids just want the backpack, which is awesome. So.
With the Logitech branding on the front. I don't know if you can go buy those.
You can get just the Herschel, but I don't think you can get the Herschel bag with the Logitech branding.
I don't know that they sell those packs. I think it's more of a promotional thing that they do.
I think that's something they hooked up with Herschel and had them. Are they embroidered or stamped?
They're embroidered.
Embroidered just
which
for
is
this.
Nice, yeah.
They have Logitech has some dope backpacks on their website, but they don't have this one.
Yeah,
and that's the one my kids want.
It's a pretty cool giveaway. It's by far the largest giveaway we've ever done, by far. And just huge shout out to Logitech for making it happen. I mean, they came to us and said they wanted to do something cool and wanted to reach out to some educators and help some educators, and here we are. We're doing our biggest giveaway yet, and gonna run through the end of the month. So make sure to go get entered to win. We'll obviously make sure to link it and everything. And then, one other thing. Just make sure to subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube,
absolutely.
Just go in there and click subscribe.
If you're listening, check it out on YouTube. You might. I mean, it's a totally different. I've said this a million times. It's a completely different dynamic. Some people prefer to listen. I would much rather watch a podcast. I love watching Leo Laporte's behind the scenes podcasts, the stuff that they do. So they record all of it on video.
Yeah.
And then they trim it down for the podcast. So you get some outtakes, you get some different stuff. They're long, but I enjoy watching them, especially when they have guests and stuff. I like Kevin Tofel was on there one time. It's really cool to watch them. So if you haven't watched it, come over and subscribe. Yeah. You might like it. You might like it better.
We'll make sure to link it, but you can always just go to YouTube, the Chromecast podcast, all separated there. And if you watch the video, you get to meet Paul and Dan. Dan made a guest appearance. His first, not final. I hope it's not his final.
It better not be.
I'm sorry, Dan. His first guest appearance in a thumbnail, and we made sure to get a glamour shot for him. He said he needed a new headshot. I don't know why. I don't know if he's trying to get out there. I don't know. What if we found a LinkedIn for Dan and he's out applying for
I think
jobs?
we should. We could make him a Twitter.
He's he's
great.
Oh my gosh, we totally should. Andy,
Dan, do you like Tic Tac?
Hey, creative producer, get on that.
We should just post a TikTok of Dan, create his own TikTok. And we post 7 days a week. It's literally the same thing, just a different soundtrack every time.
And
he doesn't do anything.
It's just him sitting with the new Pixel.
Yeah. You know? How cool, though, would it be 5 years from now? We're still doing this podcast. If anyone's listening.
Yeah.
We can see, it'll be like a timeline of
Dan's life.
Idea.
See,
He'll
Robbie,
be huge in 5 years.
Robbie, you need to come back. This is what happens when you leave. We're getting off the rails.
I thought he walked away.
I did for a second. I asked Andrew if I was off camera or not. I'm trying to fix my lighting because I keep my camera looks like it's popping exposure. So I tried to change some stuff.
Oh.
I don't know. If it's
you don't have your extra lighting rig.
We should have sent you. We should have thought about this. We should have sent you home with the ring light.
Yeah, I can't tell if it's the lighting or I don't know. It keeps just popping exposure. Yeah.
Huh.
Well, cool. I mean, one kind of cool thing. Well, it kind of worked, and then it wasn't working. Now it's working. We use Riverside for all of our interview episodes. Huge shout out to them. This is a really cool platform where you get to have a studio, a green room where you get to interview guests, and it's capturing the audio and video in the background in your browser cache. But it's creating a nice little live stream so that we can sit and still chat live back and forth, but it's actually saving a much higher quality file that we can then use to edit.
It just occurred to me, are there cameras in those Chrome packs?
Yes. Yeah, there's a HD webcam.
Now, I'm not saying we take those, but I'm saying we each should have a Chrome pack at our house for this exact scenario.
We should.
There's what has the ice in there.
Yep, had the microphone,
everything we need right there.
We had everything sitting here. We should have equipped Robbie.
Robbie came from restaurants like I did. I don't know if he ever saw these, but at O'Charlie's we had the emergency packs if the network or the power ever went out. So all the servers had emergency packs, which consisted of the old school credit card swiper and flashlights and all that stuff. Because you still got to be able to. You still got to take payments. Yeah.
But yeah, for today, Robbie is actually joining us via the mobile app. So he's actually the video and the audio that we're getting is from the Pixel 6 Pro, which is much higher quality than whatever Acer webcam he was trying to use earlier. Well, we tried the audio. We tried to use the phone first, and then it wasn't working. So we went to the webcam and then back, and finally got it working. But
yeah, I don't want to bag on the camera here, but it's it's the Spin 513, and I kept wanting to say 7. I'm like, no, it's not 7. I was like 714. It's not 14. It's got COVID brain. The 513, and that's one of the parts in the review of this thing. We were like, it does use the temporal noise stuff, whatever. It's better than like a super low end camera, but just a bit. It's still 720, and you could tell the minute I joined the podcast with that camera, it was definitely a big degradation in quality. So
a little soft.
Unfortunately, I don't know why it seems like it stopped doing it now. I don't know. Now there it goes. So we're just going to have these fun little pops of exposure.
It's just a little strobe over there.
Yeah.
Robbie's actually having a party.
Yeah.
He's having a COVID party.
I'm trying to keep it over here off camera.
You definitely need to put some right there.
A disco ball spinning
right here.
Cheat with the flashing light.
The light
party thing. Yeah.
Yep, that's happening. See, if you watch the video, you get to see
great.
these fun
You'll
little
never
Easter
know.
eggs that Andy Cam throws in there.
I hope. Who knows? We could end up uploading the video and it's not doing it at all. So.
Yeah, who knows? We'll see. Hey, this is just trying to make it work. You know, it's
Trial
all
and error,
good.
baby. Yep.
It's all good.
Most of what we do is in beta. We are like the Google of the news world. Everything's in beta.
Hey, will that
things
work?
are in
I don't know.
alpha.
Let's
Yeah,
try it.
there you
Let's
go.
figure it out.
Exactly.
Let's make it happen. That is our mantra. And it's gotten us this far, so we're sticking to it. Alrighty, let's dive into some news from the week. And like we said, a lot of it's going to revolve around some hardware, which is always fun. And we've got our awesome thumbnail up on the TV here.
With a thumb in it.
With a thumb. It's a thumbnail with a thumb.
The thumbnail.
I love how that turned out. I just absolutely love it. And Andy Cam did some editing magic and masked the phone so that we could get the exposure perfect on the phone so you could see the camera modules in there.
I love how the unboxing knife just pops in the corner.
I know,
Like,
and it's the texture on that.
just
Robbie, who got you that knife?
I think that was another in-law purchase. It was like in a Christmas stocking kind of thing. Okay. So like between that and that little extension cord that we use, like literally every single day. I remember
is it a
getting
cobalt?
both those
It
things
looks
and
like
being
a cobalt knife.
Yeah, I think it's
yeah, it's a nice knife. It just looks
very,
good on
very
camera.
distinct color.
Yeah. It's the texture on it, and it's a nice color, and we use a lot of blue. Obviously, that's kind of our main accent color that we use for the brand, and so it's just a nice little pop. I love it. But yeah, main announcement that we want to talk through is the 6A. Pixel Buds Pro are up for pre-order, so if you're interested in those, you can go snag those. $199.
$199. Yep.
We're excited to test those. We're excited to get those in the office and test
really
those.
am,
I'm very excited.
I feel like
those.
if Google delivers, and I put this in my post yesterday, if they deliver on everything that they're saying about these, I feel like $199 is a very solid price, because obviously there's really good headphones out there for $100, even less really if you want it. But there's some really, really good headphones out there for what are AirPods Pro now? They're $250.
They're $250, but always on sale.
Right.
Always on sale for like $230 or $220.
There's some other ones out there that are $300, whatever. If Google can deliver on everything really well, $199 is a super solid price for these.
So let's go through, just for anybody who's listening who hasn't heard us talk about these before. Let's run through some of those features.
No idea.
Gabe says, "I know Robbie.
They're headphones.
I know Robbie.
I'm joking. I wrote the article yesterday. I'm joking. They're headphones by Google. That's what they are.
That's what they are.
So they did away with the thorn, which is cool.
Very nice.
The design is different. The case is pretty much the same, but they look like they're going to be way more comfortable. They have custom 11mm drivers. They have the capacitive touch in them, which is awesome because we missed that on the A series.
Yep.
They have I can't remember exactly what they called it, but it's active pressure relief around. So no one's ears are identical, so they may or may not create a perfect seal when you put them in, but there's some pressure relief that goes on that also helps with the noise canceling and pass through and all of that stuff. Obviously assistant built in. They're saying 11 hours off the case if you're not using noise canceling.
Right.
31 hours of use with the case because it's a wireless charging USB-C case, water resistant, 3 mics in each earphone. And
I think one of the
go ahead.
One of the killer features too is going to be Google's ML, like machine learning stuff that they've been working on with Meet and all the stuff using dual array microphones. Like they're going to be able to use that stuff for their ANC on this. So it's not, like Bose and Sony are the ones to me that come to mind when I think of like just amazing noise cancellation. And, I feel like Google has the ability probably in the smarts and the research and the data to probably create some amazing noise canceling with these. Right. But I think that the step up is what Gabe just mentioned, the thing that it can basically detect if that ear is not quite sealed and adapt for that, because I don't know that any other earbud has ever attempted to even do something like that. I am seeing the voice accelerometer and motion detection accelerometer and gyroscope.
Yeah, and gyroscope.
What is that for?
Well, in one of the things I was reading, it says it uses that for in-ear detection and the play pause and something else. So I'm not exactly sure why it's called voice, but it says that those are
I know why. I know why it would need a gyroscope though, for because they're going to be doing the crap. What is the audio where? If you're whatever's sitting in front of you, spatial audio, yeah. So you need a gyroscope for spatial audio, because the gyroscope informs the device where it is in space, basically.
Where you're turning.
Okay,
that's exactly yeah.
But as Robbie was saying, the machine learning and AI and what Google's done, this is an opportunity for them to take what they've done with the Pixel cameras and apply that to headphones.
Right.
They don't have to be the most premium, best speakers ever made, but Google's machine learning and Google's smarts, even if it becomes like their own custom tensor chip that they use in the headphones down the road, whatever, it can take what's a really good set of headphones and turn them into one of the best on the market through software, because like it or not, Google's camera on their phone is one of the best phone cameras out there.
Yep.
Now, it depends on who you talk to, and it depends on what you're doing with the camera. Are there some cameras that do certain things better? Yes. But the combination of software and the camera on the Pixel phone make it the most well-rounded shooter out there.
Well, so. and they've touted some of the engineering and design that have gone into headphones before that didn't quite deliver. So I'm hoping they've hired folks that are working on these headphones, and I'm hoping that they iron out some of the kinks.
Because the original Pixel Buds, not the A series, but the ones before that, the first wireless ones, they were really good in a lot of aspects. Oh, yeah. All they have to do is move the bar forward a little bit from an audio standpoint, but then deliver on the things, because the issue with those was the connectivity issues and then the lag.
I was putting in my backyard. I had my truck pulled up to the back of my carport, so I'm literally 50 feet away from not even 50 feet, 40 feet away from my phone, going out and picking up my discs as I was putting in the backyard.
It's not a football field.
And kept cutting out. I'm like, what the heck? I just took them out. Like, it gets so frustrating.
I remember Joe walking like from his desk to one other side of the office one time, and like hearing him yell because his headphones cut out.
Well, it's like they, I don't know, maybe I just stopped wearing them for long enough that I was wearing them for a little bit there, like working out with my phone in my pocket, and they were doing better. And I was like, oh yeah, they're fine now. I think I probably even said it on this podcast, like, oh yeah, they're doing fine now, but I really only had them I had my phone in my pocket. But they'll even cut out sometimes with my phone even in my pocket.
That was the weird thing for me, is that there was really no rhyme or reason, because I used to, my wife kind of commandeered mine, but I would wear them when I would mow because they fit me really well, and I liked wearing.
And they would plug your ear nicely,
right?
Which is. Yeah.
It was literally only in my front yard when I was taking a left turn. It's like loop. Some weird
frequency,
like universal equation. My phone was in my pocket.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Anywho, I'm stoked on these new headphones. Obviously, one thing that we always talk about, and I think as more and more people are playing mobile games, it's something that more and more people need to think about, is lag.
Yep.
I hope these are, latency free with a Bluetooth, earbud is never going to be perfect, but get it close enough that we can play games with these headphones and not have a huge discernible
because there's a window, a millisecond window that your brain doesn't register. As long as it's below, it doesn't, like you said, there's no such thing as completely lag free, but if it's below a certain window, your brain bridges that gap and you don't notice it. So
what were some of those deals you all were messaging in the writer's room, and I can't remember if we ended up writing it or not. Were they doing some deals with the Series A headphones for free if you ordered something?
Yeah, so any of the official retailers, so Best Buy, the Google Store and also Amazon, which is really weird because they don't usually do that. If you go to the 6A Amazon landing page and you can get the 6A by itself, or you can get it with a case for a few dollars extra, or you can select free headphones.
Okay.
So you can you get the A series, which I mean, I wouldn't buy a set of A series for $100, but if you gave me a free set of A series, they're good headphones. They're really good headphones, but they're free with any of the 6A pre-orders.
They sound good. They sound really good, actually, and they fixed, I think, most of the connectivity stuff. Robbie, I know you've used them probably more than me. Have you ever had any issues with connectivity on those?
No, and I specifically pushed them to try to figure out, like, that was the two things I wanted to see. Just out of, I think after the Pixel Buds Pro were announced, I've grabbed those off the shelf and, threw them in my ear and used them to work for a little while. Like, they even fixed the thorn, part of the earbud was way better in those. And so that gives me a lot of hope for thinking, okay, like Google, I think, took the A series and ironed out a lot of the primary issues with the Pixel Buds. So they addressed those. They hired all kinds of people that know a bunch of stuff about audio engineering and all that kind of stuff. So, and then they kind of low key announced these headphones. They didn't make, like, I remember when the original wireless Pixel Buds were announced at the hardware event. I mean, it was a good 15-minute thing. It was front and center. This felt more like, hey, we did this better, and just kind of slid them out there a little sheepishly, I think, almost, and
giving themselves a little slack is what they're doing.
And it makes me hopeful that maybe that all of that will combine to make for a really good experience. And if you track Google's history throughout a lot of things, that tends to be the case. The third iteration of the Pixel phone. Was the Pixel 3 XL, 3A, and other than the bathtub notch, that was a really well-received phone. They fixed most of the dumb little issues they had with prior Pixels, and the third iteration kind of set the trajectory for the next couple of years. Same thing with their Chromebooks. I still like the original Chromebook Pixel and the Chromebook Pixel 2015. They're great, but those led to the third iteration of their Chromebook, which was the Pixelbook, which is still held up as one of the best Chromebooks ever made. And so I feel like they catch their stride around like the third try of things. So at Pixel, the Pixel 5A was quietly really great too. Like, we didn't talk about it very much, but the 3A was I thought 3A was great. The 4A was weird, but it was in a weird time for them with the Pixel 5 and stuff. But the Pixel 5A was quietly excellent. It was a really excellent phone. I think it moved over with the 6A as well. But I think it takes Google, especially with their hardware, a few years to really iron out some of the details. I mean, heck, you could argue that the Nest Audio is a third gen, basically a third year product.
That's true.
And the Nest Audio is like, good, this got everything right. Like, I don't feel like I need the Max as much anymore, but it doesn't feel like a little baby speaker. Like, they kind of ironed it out. They figured out like what to keep, what to leave, and so I'm hoping
we were
that's
joking
the case
about that. Saw somebody on Facebook Marketplace yesterday was selling an OG Google Home for it was like $70. So is the thing even
collectible.
Power on?
We still have
ours
one.
is sitting over there, but
So we still have one.
Ours is on the shelf in the studio.
In our kitchen. I'm looking at it right now. It's still a good little thing. I like it. It's unique. It looks like an air freshener, but
it does.
Yes, it does.
I'd rather have a Nest Audio sitting over there, but I'm like, it doesn't need to be replaced.
Something about that original, though. It's nice just to have around, reminder. But we've talked about this several times on this show. Google is still a fairly new hardware company.
Absolutely.
And so it makes sense that they're having to kind of, test these products. They're having to just put stuff out. I mean, you got to get feedback from users. I mean, you can sit and you can dog food devices, or you can have people test devices, but until you get it out to the masses, you're not going to know. And so they're kind of finding their stride on some of these devices.
And that's what
like Robbie said.
It feels like up until about the 3A, up until a couple of years ago, Google from a hardware perspective, Google was just an R&D company.
Yeah,
I mean, the Nexus
yeah.
line literally was R&D. They never made Nexus phones with the intention of being a big phone maker.
Selling a lot of them.
It was all research, and now that their software and their hardware is coming together, they're building an ecosystem, even though the Nest ecosystem needs some work. It really does. Things are... the assistant and all that, they've got some software stuff to do there. They've kind of nailed the hardware side of it, but now they've gotten to a point where they say, all right, we can make marketable products that compete with other big name manufacturers.
Sure. Yeah, I'm very, very excited to test out these headphones. I almost went ahead and did the pre-order, but I was like, I think I'm going to hold off for just a little bit. I want to wait and see some of the reviews, and hopefully we can get some in the office and test them out.
We should see them show up in stores too on the 28th. Like the 28th is like orders go out, but also like store availability. So we'll probably see.
I'm really hoping
a lot of retailers
that T-Mobile still carries the A series. You can walk in there and get them. Just you can throw them on your phone plan if you want. I'm hoping that they will just be at Walmart,
Out and
Best
about.
Buy, everywhere else on the 28th. I'll just go get some.
Go snag them, test them out.
Always return them. Oh wait.
Okay, Robbie. One other quick thing on the Pixel Buds Pro. Joanna wrote this up. The auto switching. So you guys kind of fill everybody in what this is.
Yeah, so it's
somebody.
Yeah,
somebody.
He's
anybody.
the fast pair guy. I'm going to let him run with that. So.
It's just something built upon fast pair. So idea being a la what you see with AirPods and MacBooks and iPhones, that you'll easily be able to pass that connection between your devices. So just kind of hand off that connection. So for instance, as we were setting up this what amounts to a video call here for the podcast, we were switching back and forth. If ideally, because they didn't say anything about Chromebooks in the announcement, but I mean, Chromebooks have fast pair, like it'll be part of that experience as well. But I would have been able to, hey, this is being really weird on my phone. I'm going to jump over to the Chromebook and just click connect on the earbuds, and they would just connect over there. And so it's this like multi-point Bluetooth thing, but it's also tied into fast pair where it's attached to your account too. So, it almost becomes an audio source basically on your device. So like when I click the audio output, if I choose, the speakers, like if I have earbuds in for my Chromebook, for instance, on the volume slider, I can click the over arrow and choose which output I want. Well, ideally, like that, the Pixel Buds Pro would just be on there all the time. And so if they're active and available, they're on there. And even if they're connected to my phone, the minute I click that, boom, it just switches over to the Chromebook, and then jump right back to the phone when I need those. So looking very forward to that. Right now, again, it said, I'm sure Andrew's sitting over there smugly grinning. I can't see it.
I was say I want to make an Apple joke right now, but I don't feel like I can. So
spinning his mustachio,
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, you have auto switching, eh?
Coming soon.
I think Google should present this as like it's this cutting edge feature that no one's ever done, like some other company likes to do.
That's what they should do. This is magic, people. This is magic. We have come up with this from the ground up. Yeah.
The most innovative.
Yeah. And so it's going to launch on the Pixel Buds Pro, but Google said it will work with all. And here's the thing that Apple can't claim. It will work with other multi-point Bluetooth devices in the future. Right. So,
which is awesome.
If you get, obviously it'll have to be the later codecs for, you're not going to be able to go grab your Jaybirds out probably, Joe, and make this work. But, something that's been made in the last year or so that has multi-point, that supports Android Fast Pair. Once those things are in place, you'll be able to take advantage of that with those too. It won't just be for Google's own headphones. So as much as we can...
they're saying Sony and JBL in the coming weeks, obviously the ones that are compatible with it, but that's way different than Google's normal coming soon or later this year.
Right.
Like it'll be rolling out very soon. So
and,
that's awesome.
And I think that's the cool differentiator here is that this is aping something Apple's been doing for a little while, sure, but the minute it's available on a bunch of third-party headsets, on a bunch of different phones that aren't made by Google, that's the differentiator, and that's where and stuff like this to me is where you start to see the fork of the way that Google looks at hardware and software, and the way that Apple looks at hardware and software, and to bring out a new feature and be like, hey, it's going to be a lot of work for us to make this work on a bunch of different pieces of hardware, but we're going to do that because it's just the better thing to do over time. Eventually, it's the better thing to do.
So it's like we're going to do this thing that you all are doing. We're just going to do it better.
It only took us a couple of years, but we're doing it.
Just saying.
Well, again, and if Google said, hey, we're going to make it work with Pixels and these 3 Chromebooks and our own tablets, and that is all, they could have done this a long time ago. But that's not the route that they go. And so, I get sometimes like features like this are going to take a little bit longer, but a much larger portion of society will be able to take part of these kind of features because they're not going to have to go buy thousands of dollars of proprietary hardware in order to make it work. And so, you can look at that coin from either side. It's
sure.
But I tend to lean towards the stuff that gets made for more of like everyone versus only a certain subset of people.
For sure. So Pixelbuds Pro up for pre-order right now.
$199.
You can go pre-order
4
them
colors
as we speak. Four colors. What are they?
Sage.
Sage.
White, green, black, and
white,
coral.
Oh, lemon,
that's
cello,
right.
lemon grass, lemon. Did they change it to
lemongrass?
Yeah, it was originally
Lemongula.
Yes.
I thought it was limoncello. Maybe not.
It was when we first saw the early leaks or something like that. But in the official release, I think they changed it to lemongrass.
Okay, is that the yellow or the green?
Maybe they're calling limoncello in France or something like that.
In Italy. Only in Italy.
There you go. Just in Italy.
In France.
But only in a certain region of Italy.
Yeah, that's right.
Americans be like, what's a limoncello?
What's limoncello? What is this? Yeah. But you get some color options, which is nice. You can kind of find the one that suits your style. It's cool. That's the one thing I have liked about these headphones is they are doing the multiple colors. And, it's just, rather than just having your white earbuds, you can accessorize a little bit and find the one that kind of matches your style.
That's another thing that I really feel like Google has really just nailed it. Their design, while their phone may be unique and some people may hate the way that it looks, you don't see a Google device
this thing looks
and say,
great.
Who made that? Because I was watching MKBHD's Nothing phone video, and from the side and the front, you would swear it's an iPhone. Like, it looks just like an iPhone until you flip it around. You know that this is a Google phone, even without the G. So.
We have a bug
floating
around here. It's driving me crazy.
I'm going to catch him.
All right, we'll take a break and get
anyways,
that guy.
And the headphones have the same aesthetic. It's very, very much Google. You're not going to confuse these with some other device. And they have unique colorways and stuff like that. And I think they're going the right direction.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, I love it.
How do you get fingerprints on your phone when the case never comes off?
I don't know. This one is we're going to talk about this here in a second. 6A is fingerprint magnet for sure, but you're gonna have it in the case most of the time. So pre-orders are up now and available. You all were saying you can hopefully be able to go snag them in a store.
Hopefully.
On the 28th.
Yep, but right now you can get them from Google Store, Best Buy, Amazon. I think B&H Photo has them listed, and I'm assuming probably Target and Walmart will have them in the next few days too. So
dope.
Yep.
Cool. Excellent. Well, there you have it. We're gonna take a quick break for an ad, and we will be right back. Alrighty, welcome back, everyone. So technical difficulties during the break there. We said we were excited that Robbie was getting to use the Riverside app on his Pixel 6 Pro, and for some reason it was really it was stressing the device. So Robbie was getting what was it saying, Robbie? A heat error?
Yeah, it was overheating the device, so it was shutting stuff down, which is awesome.
Not good. Not what you want.
Nope. No.
Not the best.
Now,
Not the best.
Now the upload, because basically Riverside's doing a live stream, but then capturing that file and uploading it in the background. The upload is taking forever, and so now as we're trying to start a new recording, it's not working.
Yeah.
So Robbie's actually just recording this version on his Pixel 6 Pro, and we're going to make it work.
Yeah. So probably
if
should have tested this sooner, but we ddidn't know we were going to use this until we got ready to start today. So it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
We lived, we learned, and next time we'll know better.
Well, the one good thing is we know now not to recommend this to interview guests.
Right.
like definitely need to just do it on a laptop. So
stick with
now
the
we know.
web.
Yes.
Stick with
Yay.
the web. Well, Riverside
wins.
Riverside is a web-focused,
Right.
Yeah.
application. I mean, it was built for the web, so I feel like they're probably trying to make a phone app work, but really it's built for the web.
Right.
So
Let me go back to an earlier suggestion I had before we started all of this, which was to run over to the office real quick and grab the HP Elite Dragonfly Chromebook with its superior front-facing camera.
Yep. Probably would have.
No, we already decided next time we're just doing it without you. Or don't get COVID.
They actually
Yeah, or
said,
just-
well, I'm going to go over to your house and just shoot a camera through the window.
Yeah.
Go across the street and telephoto into this, this bay window.
Wow.
That's not
Be
weird at all.
That'd be a weird shot.
Somebody's watching you.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But anywho, we're gonna make it work. It's all good. So let's talk now about the 6A.
Oh,
so we were kind of talking about it, rounding about the first segment there. But this is the new mid-range phone from Google, and it is pretty stellar. We just put out I'm not even going to call it an unboxing. We had a quick clip up front of Robbie taking it out of the box, but other than that, it was more of an impressions video. Robbie, you actually put your sim in this and used it for a little bit. So what were your impressions? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, a lot of, I saw some people talking about Marquez's MKBHD's video about some of the gripes he kind of had with it and him being a little detached from reality. And, to his defense, I think a guy that's been doing this as long as he has, that's as deep into the tech world as he is, it's easy. It's easy to kind of lose touch with, it's hard for me sometimes to remember what people actually use, like real people use Chromebooks for. And luckily I have, family members and friends and stuff that I constantly am referring Chromebooks to that remind me that, you don't care about, I can tell you about all these 10 things and you don't care about those things. And so I tried to kind of take that mindset with looking at this phone.
Yeah.
So instead of being the tech nerd that spent years selling phones and obsessing about cell phones, smartphones, and all that kind of stuff, I tried to look at it as like, what do people use cell phones for? And all your basic stuff, really, it ends up coming down a lot to software. The way that the phone delivers the software experience to you. And so, the one thing that I've said this countless times that always brings me back to Pixel isn't some hardware magic or some, I don't know, stylus or some pop out thing or whatever. There's never a gimmick. There's never a hardware gimmick that brings me back to Pixel. It's always software. Mm-hmm. It's Google's take on Android. It's their way of handling animations. It's their way of dealing with the features and the Pixel specific stuff that comes along with the phone that ends up being all the little things that you don't even notice while you're using it until you stop using it and you're like, oh wait, oh crap, I don't want to get that because I don't have a Pixel. I can't glance at my phone and see what that song is. The at a glance widget isn't the same on other phones as it is on my Pixel. And for a long time it was the Discover feed being on the left side of the panel. It wasn't there unless you had a Google made phone, and that was a huge detractor. Then especially with Material U, I noticed with the OnePlus 10 Pro that I tried out, their take on Android 12 is very much like Android 11. So it didn't look like Android 12. It looked mostly like Android 11 still. And I found that I missed all the material design tweaks and stuff that they've done with this new version. And so it's 100 different things that create the Pixel experience. And kudos to Google for creating something like this, for over the years of honing this view they have of Android into something that makes you want to go back to it. And then, you got the cameras, obviously, that are always great. I just like the fact that my whole family has learned to refer to it as Pixel Fix It. We'll just point the phone and be like, I don't know, that's a terrible, I don't know, Pixel Fix It.
The sun is pointing right in the middle of the frame.
Right behind
it's
you.
Okay.
And
it's fine.
Pixel Fix It. Don't worry about it. And I like that I can rely on it. I've had it for long enough that I know that it's going to do what it's going to do, and so all of that stuff has nothing really. I mean, it does have something to do with hardware, but it doesn't have anything to do with hardware gimmicks. Give me a good screen and a decently built phone. and then put that software in that package. And that's what the 6A is. I mean, it's, this, I love that they used plastic on the back to save money. It makes it lighter. It doesn't detract from the look. You can tell once I tell you, and you're like, yeah, that's not glass. Like, it's not quite as smooth. Like, it's grippy a little bit.
Now, it's funny because Marquez
said it's glass.
Glass.
Like, it is not.
Okay.
And so that tells me, like, it'll fool you if you don't know the difference. But if you
that's
pop
good.
those
If it fooled him, yeah, absolutely.
Like, just rub your finger on your phone there, Gabe, and then rub the back of the 6A, and you'll notice immediately it's not glass.
Tapping it with your fingernail, I can feel it.
Yeah. But even on the Google store, it says back panel, thermoform. What was it? Thermoform something?
I don't remember.
Nuclear polycarbonate.
You had it in the video.
Adhesion.
Yeah, it's plastic. Look, and it's fine.
Composite.
It's okay.
There you go. Composite.
Thermoformed composite. It's plastic, but nobody wants to say plastic because we think of plastic as a fork or a solo cup. But plastic's awesome in a lot of different applications, and with metal rails and a well-made plastic back, you don't know the difference. It's going to be in a case anyway. It cost saves. It's way more durable. So I'm like, that's not a big deal at all. So now you've got a pretty decent piece of hardware that delivers the Pixel experience in its fullness because Tensor's inside. And where Google did the biggest change this year over every other year is including the latest processor. It'd be the same as the Pixel 4a having come out with a Snapdragon 865 in it, or 855, I think is what was in the 4. And so that's a huge step forward too. And with them having their own in-house silicon, that is possible with that. I think the only downgrade that steals from the experience a little bit is the 60 hertz screen. And I do, like, a lot of people were disagreeing with MKBHD on this, but I kind of agree with him. Like, there is something a little jankier feeling about this 60 hertz screen than others, and I can't tell if that's the fact that I haven't used a non-90 or 120 hertz screen in, I don't know, 2 years, like on a regular basis. So I can't tell if it's extra janky. What's weird is I jump into Apex Legends on that phone, and it doesn't feel jerky to me. It feels pretty dang smooth. So I don't know. And it could just be an animation issue with Google software or something. Again, after using it for about 5 minutes, I stopped really noticing it that much. It's not like apps are loading slowly or anything. It's just there's a little bit of frame dropping in certain spots. It feels like it's more. It's worse than it should be. Really, I don't think it's just the screen. But
we were filming B-roll yesterday, and I was sitting and kind of messing with it for the first time, and I didn't notice anything.
Yeah, it's only certain times, and so that's what tells me it's probably there could be something with, if Google's software is now tweaked, obviously, to be running on. They've been doing 90 hertz screens since the Pixel 4. If they're really tweaked to do that, and they haven't really taken into account to turn some of those frame rates down, maybe, or I don't know. Yeah. I'm not really sure.
It could be a simple software tweak, honestly.
Yeah. I'm sitting here just swiping through. I mean, you can maybe see it from this other camera. It's going to be hard. I mean, we're filming at 30, and this is not going to get captured on camera the way it looks sitting here swiping. But this is moving right along.
What about
there was a little something right there.
The fingerprint sensor. That's been good. The two people I've watched have said it's bad, but which is odd because we were expecting it to be better than the 6 and the 6 Pro.
Yeah, I didn't notice any difference. Like, I never had any problems with it reading. It's not fast.
That's what I'm wondering if it's like, because there's different people that say different things. Like Michael Fisher said it was arguably one of the worst he's ever used, but then he also compared it to the 6 and 6 Pro. So I think in his opinion, very respected opinion, he thinks the 6 and 6 Pro are really bad as well. But then again, he had a bum unit and had to get a replacement. He's only had the phone for like 2 days, so he did an Instagram Live yesterday because he hasn't done his review yet. But then Marquez talking about the fingerprint sensor, which is funny because over the weekend I was doing what I do and smoking a bunch of meat, and I had nitrile gloves on that I wear when I'm cooking. my fingerprint sensor on my 6 works flawlessly with a glove on.
What?
Because they're that thin.
That's
I mean,
awesome,
it
yeah.
could detect. But I was showing my wife. I was like, "Look at this."
That's awesome.
She's like, "There must be something wrong with it." So she tried to unlock it with her finger, and it wouldn't work. It is,
Yeah.
like you said, it's not lightning fast. But after having this for a few weeks, I don't notice, because I always felt like my OnePlus was faster. But I haven't had any issues with the accuracy or having to press it more than once or hold my finger for a long time. So I don't know.
Yeah, right there, I feel like it was something they tweaked on the 6. I've had no issues with mine recently. Like I'm sitting here.
Yeah, and even after all those tweaks, like I remember Joe, you having better success with yours, and my Pixel 6 was still no good.
Right.
But since I moved to the Pro, I've not really
fine.
thought about it. Again, it's not fast. I'm not
Right.
not even trying to say like, oh, it's super fast. Like I loved the one on the Samsung Galaxy S22 Plus that I had. Like it literally was just as soon as you contact the screen, boom, it's done.
It was,
And that's what I'd like.
It's not optical though, is it?
No, it's ultrasonic.
Yeah, ultrasonic. Yeah.
And so, I feel like I'm sure that's a much more expensive sensor, but that's what it needs to move to next. Like everybody just needs to get away from these optical sensors on the screen.
Yeah, I feel like, in my opinion, if they would get rid of the second bump when it unlocks, your brain would not notice the delay as much. That's what made it feel like it was so much. Because I would take my OnePlus and this, and I would do them at the same time. They really weren't that different. It's that second bump when it unlocks that makes your brain register. There's a delay between me touching it and it opening.
If it just did the one,
I think if it just bumped when you touch it, you would never notice.
I hadn't
my
even
OnePlus
noticed that. Yep.
wasn't actually any faster, but in my brain, it felt 10 times faster.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, your brain's a powerful tool, sir.
And I think that's why eventually, once you use it for a while, you get used to it. Like you're okay with it. And so, and I would assume, Gabe, now that you've been using the 6 for a little while, like you probably don't think about that very often.
No, not at all. Not until we just sat here and brought it up. Yeah, I don't think about it whatsoever. And again, was extremely impressed at how well it works even in diverse conditions. So.
And so, if you take away the whole 60 hertz thing, and I said this in our impressions video, like if you are fine with that, if you're okay with that, and okay with a 6-inch phone, like it's a smaller phone for sure, but like if all those things work for you, like the rest of the Pixel 6 experience is here. It's downgraded hardware in the cameras, but it's the tried and true 12.2 megapixel camera that they've been using since the Pixel 2. Right. And you can say what you want about camera hardware, but as well as I do, every year new phones come out and they have better whatever, bigger numbers, better specs, and somehow don't take better photos. Nope. Google's photo ability is all in software. And again, you've got Tensor inside. So, it's going to take whatever you hand it and make it look awesome. And I was having a really hard time telling the difference, other than with closer up objects, because the focal length is different on the primary shooters between that and then the Pixel 6 or the Pixel 6 Pro. It was hard to tell the difference between the two from a color, contrast, clarity, sharpness, all that stuff. Like it all stands up because you got a 50 megapixel camera, but it's binned, which means they take 4 pixels to 1 pixel basically. So they bin it at 12.5 megapixels basically. And so even though there's 50 megapixels of information, which is good, you're getting more info, right. It's still taking a 12.5 megapixel photo. And so and that's the case with all large megapixel cameras. They're always going to bin those pixels, and so you're not getting that much more sharpness really overall. And Google's been working with this set of lenses for a long time and this set of sensors, so they know how to make their software make the most out of that stuff. And so I don't feel like there's almost any downgrade in the camera department there. I wish I could say, I kind of want to be able to say oh no, the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro takes so much better photos. They just don't. Not to my eye anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna do a camera test. I'll do one over the weekend. Take some photos on both phones, and then we'll do a little camera test on Instagram. Little A/B test. and just see what people think.
Yeah, and you know, it's a funny thing because Michael Fisher did his little live yesterday, and if you don't dig into the specs, you wouldn't know that it is the older camera array it's the one from the, like you said, it's the
older.
one from
They've
the
been
older
using it,
son they've used forever. He obviously hadn't dug into the specs yet because people were asking, what have they dumbed down the camera? And his response was, I'm not sure. So that means in 2 or 3 days of having it and using it, he's not noticed a difference in the photos that he's taking. So that says a lot about Google software and what they're doing.
And as a Pixel 6 Pro user, I'm kind of like, I want there to be a little bit of a difference, to be honest. Like, I want to think that
absolutely, but too bad.
Yeah, you're paying for a nicer screen. That's what you're paying for.
Well, and the truth is, because we talked about this in the video too, the haptics are awesome in this phone, and that's not a big headline grabber, but
haptics are great.
Haptics are great, and that's an important part of the experience of using a phone. Like, a phone feels better crafted if the haptics are tight and good. This is, again, one of those things, a nod to Apple, that they figured out years ago. They started putting good haptic motors in their iPhones, and there was just something different. Like, when you held it, and there's something different when you start using a loose haptic motor, it's like, ugh, what is this? Like, this big, like, kind of feel versus that tight punch you get from a good haptic motor. And so, Google's figured that out, I think, since, the Pixel 2, probably, maybe 2 or 3, when they started putting these really nice haptic motors in, and they've put them in all of their phones since that point. But the speakers are great. I would say, we did side by side with the Pixel 6, and I almost feel like it's the same speaker set. Like, they sounded very, very similar. I still think the Pixel 6 is a little bit better.
Yeah, what you said with the haptics, what we noticed, the haptics on the 6 are great. They really are, but there's been some news going around about the placement of them on that compared to the 6 Pro. And obviously, they've put them in a better place on the 6A because the haptics on the 6A actually feel better than on the 6.
Yeah,
they're not. The 6 they're not sloppy. They're not rattly. They're just where they're placed. They're not as strong. You get a way more distinct feedback with the 6A than you do the 6. It's amazing.
Yeah, basically, it's the haptic motor is like down lower in the handset. So especially while you're typing, it's more under your fingers. Like, I notice it a ton with the 6 Pro. And so it feels like they made that kind of. I don't know if they made that decision on purpose or that's just where they had space to put it, but. Like, when you start talking about all that stuff together, so, the same aluminum side rails basically as the Pixel 6, cameras that are clearly top notch. They're not technically speaking Google's best, but for all intents and purposes, great. Great haptics, great speakers, a good screen apart from this 60 hertz, refresh rate thing that's going on. Like, Again, part of that could just be psychosomatic from having looked at high refresh screens for so long. I think there's a chance if you use this for probably 3, 4, 5 days solid, which I did not, I would use it kind of off and on and off and on and off and on, that maybe your eyes would just get used to that and you wouldn't think about it as much. It's just been a long time since I've used full time for like weeks and months on end a phone that has 60 hertz refresh rate. But the colors on it look good. I mean, it's a good OLED screen. Like, it's not
camera
stellar.
Hump on the
it's good.
The camera hump on the back. Like, I don't dislike it on the 6 and 6 Pro, but the way they've made it more subtle.
Hold them up on your camera so the focus.
It's so awesome.
It's
so awesome.
It's very subtle. I mean, the phone will almost.
It's not flush, but man,
it's flush,
so much closer.
It's a really, really good look, and it looks really good with those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle B-brand skins that Joanna wrote about. So, yeah, I like it. I like it. I do like the color too. We have, what is this? Is this Sage?
This is Sage. Yeah,
Sage. So yeah, I mean, you put all that stuff together and give it a $449 price tag.
Right.
Let it go on sale for $399, $349 for Black Friday or something, and you start looking and going, okay, if you want the Pixel experience, if you've been eyeballing a Pixel phone, it's not to say I think that the 6 and 6 Pro are overpriced, because they're not. I think they're priced very well. I think $600 for the Pixel 6 is great. But this is a way to get there, I think, on even a smaller budget and still feel like it is 100% the iPhone SE move without being, I think, as many cheapening hardware moves to get there. So I feel like Apple, like with the display on the SE is still real gross. it's just an old LCD display. So now you're getting a nice OLED, small bezel screen. It doesn't look like a phone from 2005. It looks like something modern. You're getting the speakers. You're getting a great camera array, not a single camera, a multi-camera array. You're getting Google's best silicon, and granted, it's not as good as Apple's latest silicon, but you're getting what Google has, the best thing Google has to offer. And so, I think that the downgrades that they're putting in place here are the right ones. Like they did all the right things. They cut all the right corners for this particular phone, and I think they did a great job with it. I really do.
Well, and like you said, the prices for all of that you just went through, the price is good, and it will. It will almost certainly go on sale.
And that's what kills me is that a week or two ago, before this actually released, there were a few articles going around like, "Where's the true budget smartphone from Google for the masses?" Or whatever. Yeah. I'm like, $449 isn't that isn't a walk in and get a $200 phone price, but you can get it free if you add a line. Google's boosted their trade-ins on older Pixels on the Google Store, and even right now at T-Mobile and a few others, you can get $300 off if you're trading in one of like 30 or 40 older phones. So $149 for this phone is incredible.
Yeah,
you're not going to get a phone of this caliber.
Well, and just like what do people expect? Like,
yeah,
I don't know that Google is in a position to go out and make a $200 phone or
buy
something.
Buy an Outtech or whatever.
Yeah, if you want that, there's other phones you can go buy. Like, as far as affordability, I feel like this is a truly mid-range affordable phone.
Well, I'll put this out there, and I didn't read that article. I saw the headline and just kind of moved on. But they said they used the term for the next billion. Google uses that term a lot to talk about emerging markets. So when they talk about the next billion, they have over 1 billion Android users. They talk about the next billion. They're talking about moving into more impoverished nations, places that don't have a lot of money, that the economy is not good. And so I think that was the crux of the article. It was more talking about that kind of stuff versus markets like U.S. and Western Europe and
but still, I don't
China
know.
stuff. And so. Because they've done a couple, like they made Android One for a little while. This idea of having this like pared down version of Android that would run on lesser devices. I think the article was asking like, is Google has this initiative they want to push into these other markets? Are they ever going to make a Google made phone that fits that description? And so far they haven't. And Google's never said they're going to. Like they partner with other OEMs that can produce at larger scale for much less money for that. But I think that was the crux of the article of saying, are they going to ever make
that? Yeah, I don't disagree
emerging
with that.
phone.
That makes sense because I don't
know that Google will for a while because
but you need
massive scale to do that kind of
Samsung's
production.
number one selling phone isn't the Galaxy S whatever, it's the A50 it's the 53 right now, and that's their $450 phone. That's their Pixel A series. Now Samsung does make $200 phones too, but the A series is their bread and butter. And I don't know, if you go outside of the United States, there's more cheap Android phone makers than you can shake a stick at. So I just don't know that Google needs to be in that market.
Because to do those sorts of phones at that scale, those are budget. You would consider those budget phones. You just have to have massive scale, and you got to be able to make so many of them. And as we've said, Google is still a fairly new hardware company, and these phones are they're maybe you could call it like a more affordable or mid-range category, where in the for what you're getting, you're getting a lot of phone.
A whole lot of phone.
You're getting a lot of phone, and like we said, hopefully it will go on sale, which would be nice. And then being able to go to your carrier and pick one up is nice. I think this is just another great addition to this A series, and it's a great addition to the Pixel lineup. And I love that Robbie hinted at it, or chatted about it, but like being able to have the processor, being able to have Tensor in this phone and not some degraded processor, I think is incredible. And we've talked about it on the show before, but that's also going to get Tensor out there getting used by more and more people. That's giving Google more and more data to make adjustments and tweak and make improvements to that processor. And that's exciting for me.
Yeah, because
anyway.
I put in my post yesterday, I wouldn't be opposed to having this phone if I were in the market for a new phone and there wasn't anything exciting coming out. I'd be totally fine with that. But I have the 6, but T-Mobile, you can add a line and get one of these for free. How many preteen or teenage kids getting their first phone would look at their parents and be mad that they're getting a Pixel?
Yeah.
That you guarantee you they've seen them advertised. If they're not iPhone kids, they would love to get this phone.
Yeah.
The tensor is going to be exponential from this point out. And then when you see it getting into, possibly tablets and Chrome OS hardware and all of that, it's a big play. Play by Google.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, speaking of other Google hardware, Robbie wrote up a really interesting article the other day about a mention of Pixelbooks, plural.
Yeah. Not books about pixels.
Rick threw out Pixelbooks.
Pixelbook. And we all, other than The Verge, missed it. It's crazy.
Wild.
Shout out to our Google rep who kind of pointed me in that direction. I don't want to act like I just magically found that.
Robbie was reading old Google I/O interviews.
Yeah. And one more addendum to the whole tensor on Pixel 6a to add to that mix. If this phone sells like other A series phones have sold, and then you have a little bit of a markup for the fact that Pixel 6 and 6 Pro have sold better than any other Pixel before, so the 6a should do better than any other A series, and the A series is always outsold the regular Pixel.
Right.
So you do the math. There's going to be a lot of these sold through multiple channels, but getting that name out there it's great for Google, it's great for data, it's great for testing, it's great for all those things. Yeah. But it's also great for developer awareness. So you're also going to get developers for games and other apps that realize, we haven't tweaked our app for Google's phone yet. Like we're good for Android, and we're good for the Snapdragons of the world, but we haven't really looked at any of the issues we've run into with Tensor specifically. And I always go back to, and I always point out, PUBG Mobile. We barely play that game anymore, but I go back and test it every once in a while to see, have they updated their app to fully take advantage of Tensor, and they still haven't. And so we're coming up on a year shortly of Tensor being in the wild, and I know that they do this because they've done it with other like MediaTek devices we've messed with before, where it had no optimization, and then there was an update, and now I can turn all these graphic settings up that just weren't possible before. It's not that the chip changed; they just turned on the ability for their game to leverage and see the GPU and CPU. Yep. So that tells me there's still apps and games and all that kind of stuff out there that just don't leverage Tensor the way that they should or the way that they could. And by getting a huge slew of not some Tensor B version, but it's the same Tensor chip out there, all of a sudden now the number of Tensor devices goes way up. Developers are almost forced to have to be like, all right, we got to look at this and just figure this out.
That's a great point.
It's probably not massive amounts of work, but that's the part of the 6A getting out in wide numbers that I'm super excited about, because I want to see developers look at it and go, okay, cool.
Yeah.
We're going to make sure we're good with Snapdragon. we also got to make sure that we're...
Oh, there he is.
He's back.
Am I back? I'm back. Okay. My recording's
just keep rolling
good.
With that.
Me and my phone, we're here talking. Knowing that developers are going to have to take advantage and see it and go, okay, I've got to deal with Snapdragon, sure. I need to make sure it works on iPhones, yes. And then I got to make sure it works on Tensor. That it's just top of mind.
Yeah, that one post you wrote a while back. Who's number 2? Google was number 4 in the U.S., is that right? For phones?
Smartphones?
Yeah.
So it was
Motorola, Lenovo, and so Apple aside, Android phones, realistically, whether you like it or you agree, in the next 5 years, Google should or could or has the potential to be the number 2 smartphone maker, Android smartphone maker in the country, in North America. And if developers do not take notice of that, then they are, stupid.
Yeah, and they will. Yeah. And they will. I mean, they're going to build stuff. they're going to build stuff for their audience. Like at the end of the day, that I can't imagine developers are sitting around thinking like, oh, how can we stretch our resources a little farther and talk about more and build for more platforms? Like they're going to build for people who are buying their stuff. And so up until just recently, it's been a one pony show in Android. It's Snapdragon. They own the market for a long time, and it's just not the case anymore. So it's exciting to see, and I think Google needs, between this launch and then the Pixel 7 and 7 Pro, I think we'll get Tensor to the point where it can't be like, it's not like a choice of whether you decide to write for it or not. Like I just don't think you can ignore it anymore at all. And then the the Pixel tablet and all that stuff. Anyway, sorry, just wanted to point that out before we moved on.
Yeah. So let's talk Pixelbook. Pixelbooks.
Pixelbooks, yeah. He made it plural too. Yeah, so it was one sentence, but that's how hopeless we are in the Pixelbook world right now.
Yeah. So was this in a presentation, or was it an interview with The Verge?
That he talked with The Verge. They didn't put up the interview necessarily, but so they might have.
Because I was like,
emails.
if he said this in one of the IO chats and we missed it, shame on us.
It was a thing to The Verge, and that's probably why most people didn't see it. It was generally just like literally one sentence in the middle of them talking about they were actually asking about when they decided to ditch tablets, when they said, okay, we're going to get rid of tablets, and then saying, okay, now you've come back to that, like why did you come back to that, and what's going on with that? And so he kind of basically said in the midst of that they're looking at expanding Tensor to Pixelbooks, and I want to get the quote right, so I'm pulling it up here real quick. But again, it was, I don't know, it was almost like just a side, like, oh yeah, and this is working. But he said clearly for future Pixelbooks.
Yeah.
So the cool thing here, let me read it to you. Osterloh did say Google plans to make more Pixelbooks, by the way, but he wouldn't say when. Well, of course he's not going to say when. But the crazy thing is, for sorry, I just muted you all. For the longest time, all we've had when it comes to Pixelbook news, or the idea, like we had some commits we were following, those fell through. They were either abandoned or turned out to be something else. We had Lindar with its light bar that we thought maybe that'll be something.
Had a chance, yeah.
And then there was another one with an assistant key. We thought that would be something. Nope. And so those all got kind of pushed to the side. And Google said they're not going to make any more tablets. And every Google rep we've asked about a Pixelbook, they've just been like, don't know. And so we had one well, actually there was another story where a product manager or something for Google basically told Android Authority, I think, that they wouldn't be making there would be no Pixelbooks in 2022 or 2023. And then they said, other than that, I don't know. And so that wasn't like, yeah, they're coming, they're just not coming yet. It was like, I don't know.
It felt more like, hey, we don't have anything on the roadmap right now because we're focused on other things as well. And I feel like somebody at one point said that, like, right now, that's not on our roadmap. We're focused on our partners.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, and that's when we talk to, like, John Miletus and stuff, like, that's kind of the response we get from everybody from Google when we ask about this, because... And I get it, like, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, like the idea that, Google makes a Pixelbook or a flagship Chromebook when they need to move the market somewhere. And so now it's like, okay, well, the market's feeling pretty mature, with devices that we've got in the office right now that I look at, I'm like, I don't know where else Google has to push anybody. And, for a little bit I thought, well, Tensor's the reason. So Tensor's the thing that gives Google the reason to go make another Chromebook. I'm like, well, where does that push the market to, though? Because we could make a claim that maybe perhaps at some point that Google might share Tensor with manufacturers, but probably not. I don't think they're going to do that, but they might. They could. So as far as the market's concerned, if we get a Tensor powered Chromebook, what's that do for the Chromebook market? I don't think it does anything. I mean, it's like, oh, here's a ARM-powered Chromebook from another manufacturer. Like, it doesn't change anything. We've got some pretty cool ARM-powered Chromebooks already out and plenty of them coming. So I'm like, that's not a game changer. But then it hit me, like, I think Google's play here is less about moving the market forward this time
Yep.
and more of a we're ready to move our market share forward
Yes.
in this thing. It's about Tensor. It for Google. I remember figuring out like years ago, like they made it clear, and it took me a minute to kind of get my head around it. But like once the Assistant came out, it was like everything's going to be about Assistant for a little while. Like that's just what they're going to do. And if it doesn't drive people towards using the Google Assistant, I don't think they're going to really dip a lot of money into this. And I feel like from the hardware standpoint, that's Tensor now. So if it doesn't push towards Tensor, I just don't think that they're too interested in it at this point. And it's up to now, building a new Chromebook doesn't do that. And we're not pushing the Chromebook market forward anymore because they did it. You know, they've created a mature market, so you're not doing that. But putting out a Tensor Chromebook if it doesn't push that forward, what does it do? And it would really help move Tensor forward in a different way, because Google clearly wants to fight with Apple basically on common ground. So if Apple's making their own phone silicon, their own iPad/tablet silicon, and their own laptop silicon, you would bet that Google wants to do the same thing, and probably for the Pixel Watch too. I don't know that the first one will have Tensor in it because they've been developing the Pixel Watch for a while, but mark my words, if this one doesn't, the Pixel Watch 2 will absolutely have a Tensor processor inside, and everything Google makes probably moving forward will be Tensor powered. And so this isn't about the Chromebook market, it's about Tensor. Like a Pixelbook move at this point will absolutely be about Tensor, about saying, hey, our SoC powers not only your phone but your tablets and your laptops. And so that I feel like that's the reason they're
exactly the
moving
feeling
there.
I get. Yeah, they've gotten to this place with their phones where they've become an affordable manufacturer who can compete. And you said it yourself with the Pixelbook. I mean, it's iconic. And at the time when it came out, it did push the market forward. But now we have manufacturers like HP who are making Chromebooks that are on par with the nicest Windows machines that you can buy. They have every feature you can think of. The work is being done on external GPUs and dedicated GPUs, and we'll see stuff like Face Unlock. All of this stuff is sort of self-perpetuating now because the manufacturers have finally bought in 100% to the ecosystem and said, we have to make Chromebooks and we have to make them good. Google doesn't have to do that anymore. They don't have to push that area of the market forward, but they can work on focusing on their chip, and then when the time is right, they can say, here is the next Chromebook by Google. And it will be because even now, you look at the Pixelbook, yes, the Elite Dragonfly is awesome. It's premium. It has anything you can think of. If I were going completely on aesthetics, I'd rather carry a Pixelbook.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the most powerful device in the world. The Pixelbook Go is still an incredible device. It's nowhere near as powerful as other devices that came out that year.
Or capable. Like, it's not as capable.
Right.
It just isn't. But it's great to use.
It's purely Google. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about that you know, I don't know. I know Google wants to work with their partners. I get that, and they don't want to come in and like. That's why you're not going to see another Pixelbook with 12th gen Alder Lake, and every year they're going to make a new Pixelbook and fight with HP and all that. They want to work with these people and put out Chromebooks, but nobody else can make a Chromebook with Tensor in it. And I think Google could shine a light on what it's like. Like, I don't think other manufacturers are going to go build their own silicon to make a Chromebook. That doesn't make any sense. But Google can now just shine the light instead of saying, hey, let's get the market going somewhere else. It's like, no, we're just going to be a little selfish at this point and point to Tensor. We're not trying to undersell other Chromebook manufacturers. We're trying to prop up and show off Tensor as a platform.
And do you all think that by doing that, they would open the door to say, hey, other manufacturers, if you want Tensor in your Chromebook, we've now, opened it up to where you can have an HP whatever Dragonfly powered by Tensor?
I think they could if they wanted to, but I think realistically for that to be a profitable endeavor for them, Google would need to actually, because Apple doesn't make their own chips, right? Right, Robbie? They don't have their own foundry.
Them,
right. They don't fabricate them.
I think they fabricate at Samsung.
Right. So you're talking about Google taking a chip from Samsung, tweaking it to be Tensor, and then not saying they couldn't, but if this move is for them to grow their hardware industry, I think they'd have to start fabricating their own silicon, and I don't see that being on the roadmap in the near future. And it could be totally wrong. I mean, maybe there's enough profit margin in those types of SoCs that they could do that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see that anywhere near reality. Because the fabricating. I mean, there's two. Technically, there's a third one in China. Yeah. There's a third one now in China. They came out with a 7-nanometer process the other day. I saw.
Is that Kirin?
No, that's the name. That's the name of a chip of some sort. Whoever makes Kirin, Huawei maybe is Kirin.
Sounds good.
But I think they use TSMC. But this is an actual foundry, like a fabrication place. It's almost like TSMC. It's like MSSC or something. Well, I don't know. I don't remember what it was. But it's they're trying to fabricate chips, and that's fine. But the fact that if you think about it, microprocessors are in everything, all over the place. For there to be only 2 real foundries in the whole world tells me that it's very difficult and or very expensive and or both. And so if that's the case, like for Google to make that kind of move, like they would have to be like, the fact that Apple's not doing that already
right.
tells me that it's probably way outside of Google's
really difficult
realistic abilities to do. Not saying they couldn't dump half of their finances into doing it, but I don't think that's going to happen. And so I agree with Gabe on that. If they're not going to be fabricating their own chips, then are they really going to tweak existing fabrications to their specifications, get them out the door, and then sell them to people? I don't know.
I remember seeing this last year, and I don't know if they've broken ground on it or not, but November of last year, Samsung announced that they were opening a second foundry in Texas. The price of that foundry is $17 billion from a company that is already doing it, not
insane.
A company that's starting from scratch. So,
and don't get me wrong, Google has $17 billion to put into it, but
but the ongoing investment of building a foundry and then doing it correctly,
insane.
Yeah,
so that's
and
wild.
Probably paying the people that know how to actually do the founding, foundering.
the founderiers.
Their job is so difficult. I don't even know what they're called.
they're founderiers. Yeah. But
foundry founder.
I don't know.
But I think it comes down to how Google wants to position this. Is all it comes down to. Mm-hmm. If the next Pixelbook is what other Pixelbooks / Google Chromebooks have been, then yes, I think there is a chance that Tensor is opened up to other manufacturers, because Google's always positioned the Pixelbook to help move the market forward. And that it's never a self-serving thing. It's like, here's something to aim at. Try this, guys. Like, here's what we need to be doing. But if they come out and they're not trying to do that, if they just come out with a awesome Pixelbook that is just everything they want to make in a Chromebook from a Google hardware perspective, and it has a Tensor SoC in it, I'm going to lean towards no. I'm going to lean towards this is a change. And maybe, I know Google doesn't do a good job of planning a lot of things like down the road, but just maybe they've looked at this and gone, hey guys, I think we've kind of made it. Like, these Chromebook manufacturers are getting it. We've got a good system going. We're going to keep working with them. Let's go. Let's compete.
Yeah.
Let's go. Like, it's time for us to go now and be a part of this. So that instead of a Pixelbook every who knows how long, and it's a different device every time. I mean, think about it. Chromebook Pixel, sure. But then it was Pixelbook, Pixel Slate, Pixelbook Go. Like, all very different devices. Again, because they're serving the market. What happens if Google starts making Chromebook hardware to serve themselves, to serve the Chromebook, to serve the Pixel lineup? Because I feel like at Google I/O, they finally went, you know what? All right, we're ready.
Here's
our
an
portfolio.
ecosystem. Here's a family of devices. Yeah.
Right. And if that's the play for the next Pixelbook, I think they did a great job of nurturing the the market and helping their partners, and they can continue doing that, but they can now become a competitor in that market, and not, I don't think, upset anything, because there's all these different ways that people go about choosing what Chromebook to buy, and they do it already. That's what they do with the Pixel. They help Samsung. They work with Samsung on foldable stuff and all the crazy stuff Samsung wants to do, while at the same time having the Pixel team inside of Google. That we've heard this before. The Pixel team has to do everything the same way a Samsung or a OnePlus or anybody else would do. Like, they have to go about their processes the same way. It's not like they get special treatment because they're Google hardware. Like, they access the same stuff that other hardware manufacturers do. And so there's still this, hey, we're going to compete with you, but we're also here to help you. It's a super weird thing, but they could do the same super weird thing in the Chromebook space moving forward. The market's fine now. They can go do that.
And I guarantee you there are some very smart financial folks and some market research folks at Google that they might even had like a number, right? They like the market needs to reach certain maturation, or it needs to reach certain sales or whatever, and then we'll kind of lean back into this. And Tensor maybe lined up with that coincidentally, or just it was part of the plan. It could have just been kind of part of the ongoing plan, and now to see an ongoing line of Pixelbook that is, hey, this next year we get the Pixelbook 2023 with Tensor, and the next year it's the Pixelbook 2024. Whatever. It's just the new version, same thing as Mac.
Yeah,
right. That
I could see them not
Pixelbook Air.
I could see them not doing a detachable anymore, like they do an Android tablet, and they're not messing with, because I think they've fallen in and felt the reality of the fact that most people are using Chromebooks to do task-based things, like what we're doing right here, or getting work done, or typing an article, or finishing that paper up, or doing that type of stuff where you're just requiring a keyboard and mouse most of the time. And so really focusing in on a tablet, maybe not the most important thing at the time. And so maybe they'll have a Pixel tablet, and that's just the Pixel tablet, and that's what they do with it, and it runs Android. And the Pixelbook is always going to be a convertible, or they have a convertible and a clamshell every year that come out. And they have those two, or maybe they go only clamshell and they do a larger and smaller. Who knows? They can do whatever they want. So they haven't created some precedent where they have to create the same thing over and over. As much as I'd love to see them just take the original Pixelbook and run a few tweaks here and there on it. God, it was so close to almost perfect. I mean, anyway, the more we talk about this, the more we're sitting here talking about this, I'm like, I feel like that's the play, and I feel like that's why he said Pixelbooks.
Yep.
Like, I don't think he meant
it's this ongoing line
in whatever, 2023, 2024, whenever this thing shows up. I don't think he was saying like, oh, we're going to have 4 Pixelbooks. I think it's going to be the Pixelbook and ongoing Pixelbooks. Like, it's going to be part of Google hardware. Like, it's just going to be part of that division, and that's their laptop. And maybe they couldn't do that before because it's like, we don't know what Intel's going to do or who's going to provide the chip for this, and they were kind of all over the place. But at I/O, it feels like they reined it in. They brought all those ideas into kind of one thing, and it's like, okay, this is coalesced into something. Let's make sure that the Pixelbook's part of that, but we need to make sure Tensor's ready. And then when it is, like, just like Pixels get a new Tensor, we're going to get the new Tensor and the new Pixels. Whenever a new Tensor comes out for a Chromebook, the Pixelbook's going to get it. And
the Tensor C or whatever you want to call it, to go in the Chromebooks. Because it's like, obviously, Chrome OS and Chromebooks are such, a kind of large kind of market share and kind of brand, a big portion of Google, right? When you think about the Google lineup, and you think about, obviously, everything that they're doing, they obviously are spread out and doing all of these different things, but Chrome OS is such a core part of that. And I'm so glad that he said Pixelbook instead of Chromebooks. Like, please don't get rid of Pixelbook. That was such a good name. It's such a good name. Yeah, because
lest we forget, the Pixel lineage started with a Chromebook, not a phone.
Right.
It started in 2013.
Bring it back.
Yep.
Bring it back.
But
Full circle.
Changing from Chromebook Pixel to Pixelbook was brilliant.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was such a good, and it's a great, like, it even rolls off the tongue. It sounds great. And all these years later, like, people still want a Pixelbook. They don't want to talk about a Google-made Chromebook. They just want they want Pixelbook. Like, that's something, it says something to, that even with a device that probably didn't sell like crazy, they created some sort of marketing with it all
I'm
by
really
itself.
surprised
Like,
that no one to
it's
this
interesting.
day has made a device comparable to the Go, like with that type of styling. Not
Right.
identical, but that everything, like every Acer or Asus, they all kind of have their own aesthetic, and I get that, but there's so much flexibility with this that no one's done anything similar to the Go.
Let's just go to whatever factory that thing came
man.
from. Let's get a
Here we go.
Let's get a MediaTek 1380, slap it in there.
Yeah.
It's that easy, right?
Yeah, that's all you do.
It's that easy. Let's do
Draw
it.
Chrome unbox on the front. There
Let's
you
go. Yeah, it's good. It's our circle logo on the back, and we're good to go,
There you
baby.
go.
It's the Chrome Unbox book.
Yeah, the
Wow.
Unbox book.
Nigga.
Talk about names that roll off the tongue. Unbox book.
Yeah.
Okay,
Unbox book.
that's awesome.
Yeah, anyway.
Alrighty, well there you have it, folks. We're excited. This is, like Robbie said, I mean, we have been talking about a new Pixelbook for so long. We found at least that we didn't like this was a direct quote, right?
Yeah.
It's not like we're
No, this isn't we've extrapolated this.
Right,
from
that's what I was
something.
looking for.
This
Yeah, we haven't
and it's weird.
extrapolated
It's not that we had lost hope. It's just we had pushed it so far into the back of our minds and thought, I don't think Google's never going to make a Chromebook. It's
just wasn't
we
looking.
don't know. It could be 5 or 10
The
years.
timeline was just
this
so-
makes it feel
yeah.
much more tangible.
Yeah.
You know?
And coming from Rick Osterloh, which
yeah,
is
who knows
amazing.
a few things.
He knows a few things.
Yeah.
All right, folks. I think that's it for today. We appreciate you all tuning in, listening, and watching. If you are watching on YouTube, again, please make sure to go down and click subscribe. As we get a little closer to 10,000 subs, we're going to do a giveaway.
Yep.
We might even start it kind of soon. Might just start it and let it roll.
Just for fun.
Just for kicks and gigs. And also, if you do subscribe, please give us a thumbs up if you like this, and click the little bell notification icon so that way you'll get a notification when we publish future episodes. Okay, that's it for today. We appreciate you all, and we'll catch you next week. See ya.
Bye.